Good evening and welcome to Business Today on Channel I. On this program, we talk about business, entrepreneurship and many insightful topics with high-profile individuals. Keep tuning in to today's episode as well while we discuss business today. Today we have with us the President of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants and co-chair of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. And to know more about who this individual is, let's take a look at the character profile.
Melanies Journey in Kanaka, FCMA, CGMA is the 89th CIMA President and co-chair of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants representing AICPA and CIMA. She is the first ever Asian woman to be appointed President of CIMA and co-chair of the association. Melanie first became a CIMA member in 1992 and obtained a fellowship in 2000. She has been an active member of CIMA for over 3 decades and has held several volunteer positions both in Sri Lanka, her home country, and internationally. Melanie also currently serves on the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants Board of Directors. In recognition of her contributions to CIMA and the global accounting profession over the years, Melanie received the Service Excellence in the Finance Sector Award at the Women in Management's Top 50 Global Professional and Career Women Awards, which took place in Dubai in June 2022. Melanie has extensive experience in corporate finance and development banking across the USA, Germany, and South Asia. She currently leads the finance and administration function for the World Bank in Sri Lanka and Maldives, where she is responsible for finance, resource management, and performance review, and is part of the World Bank's South Asia Regional Unit. Melanie is a Fulbright scholar and an accredited SAP consultant who holds an MBA specializing in international finance and corporate strategy from Emory University's Goizueta Business School in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. She also holds a first-class BCom Honours degree from the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, Sri Lanka, and is a distinguished alumna of Bishop's College, Colombo, Sri Lanka.
Good evening, Madam, and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Prashant. Thank you for inviting me onto the program, and it's great to be here today.
Now, you were the first Asian woman president of CIMA, and that's quite a feat in itself. Tell us about your journey to getting here.
So the path has been a long one, and in my career of over 30 years, I've traveled this path, and of course it has been a culmination of hard work, commitment, perseverance and patience that has brought me thus far. So let me begin with my early career. I'm a distinguished alumni of Bishop's College, Colombo, Sri Lanka, and I have a first-class degree from the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, and I'm also a Fulbright scholar and an accredited SAP consultant, having done my MBA at the Emory University, Goizueta Business School, and specializing in international finance and corporate strategy. On the career side, I've been in different roles throughout this period, in corporate finance, in accounting, and more recently in development banking. And I currently work for the World Bank, overlooking Sri Lanka and Maldives when it comes to the finance and administration function. And I'm responsible for resource management and budget performance review as well, and attached to the South Asia region. So my journey as the 89th president of CIMA and the co-chair of the Chartered Institute of Certified Professional Accountants, I actually I consider it a privilege more than anything else to be elected by my peers to lead this esteemed profession. And I'm of course excited about the journey so that I can make valuable contributions to the accounting profession on the global stage.
All right. Now, on your journey to getting where you are now, obviously you must have faced a lot of challenges. Tell us a bit about these challenges and what you did to overcome them.
Yeah, so Prashant, when it comes to challenges and I would say challenges and setbacks, and that's in anyone's journey. I'm sure everyone who walks the journey faces this. Of course, 4 things stand out in that. You need to have a passion and a continued passion for what you do. You also need to realize that against all odds, you need to always do the right thing. And this also means moving away or digressing away from politics and not being a part of it. And you also need to, with it comes the requirement that people need to begin to trust you and understand your sincerity. And above all, you need to believe in yourself and never fear failure. So these challenges are, if I were to go back to my early career as a schoolgirl, one of the things I always had a passion, and one of my early passions, if I may, was in this field of sports and particularly swimming. I started swimming at probably a late age compared to my peers. But I also took some time to get out of the fear of water.
Okay.
But I still continued persistently. And one of the things that come to my mind is, as a young schoolgirl of 13 years, I decided to swim in the unknown waters in the Southern Ocean of Ambalangoda. There was no event for females at that time. There was only a boys' 2-mile sea swim. But that Sunday morning, I just decided, hey, I'll just do it. Not for the sake of glory or anything, but of course, I did stand out because I was the only female hitting the waters on that Sunday morning. And of course, when you came back, the cameras were there, the newspapers carried it. But what actually impacted me more than that was the fact that I created a space for female swimmers. So in the subsequent year, the NASU, that is the National Aquatic Sports Body for Sri Lanka, actually created an event for females for the next subsequent 2-mile sea swims. So you need to have a passion and you need to work against all odds, but you still need to do the right thing.
Exactly. Now, I'd also like to know, how do you think the title of First Asian Woman has had an impact on our country as well as the young women out there?
So I think this is kind of a milestone. It has made waves not only in Sri Lanka, not only in Asia, but it has certainly made waves within the institute, so within CIMA, and of course the association. So when it comes to CIMA, it's an institute of over 100 years, and I'm humbled to say that I am the 3rd female president the institute has put forward, and the first outside of Europe. So obviously for Asia it's a pride, and for Sri Lanka it gives a message out there. Sri Lanka, the CIMA fraternity in Sri Lanka is the largest outside of the UK, and then obviously it says that there is a lot that Sri Lankans can offer to this institute, to the community, to the society, and to the world at large. So my message is that obviously Sri Lanka right now is facing a situation of economic crisis. Nevertheless, we are a resilient nation and we will rise above that. So for the women watching out there, I just want to say I'm reminded of the words of Marian Wright Edelman, who she says, "If you cannot see, you cannot achieve." And I hope my story will be a message for all women out there, that if you dream and you have the passion and commitment, you can certainly overcome any challenge.
That was truly inspirational. Now, coming to the topic of education, you have mentioned that the education system kind of needs a refreshment to cater to the modern requirements. Do you feel like the Sri Lankan educational system needs to change in order to really cater to the modern requirements of the society?
Yeah, Prashant, I think the world around us is changing, right? We are in an ever-changing world. 48 months or 36 months before, we never knew a global pandemic will hit us in the face and make us stop at our feet and bring the whole world to its knees. So the environment is changing, and in a changing environment, it's obvious to me that education needs to change. And I think this is a responsibility we can't place only on governments. It is a responsibility that each of us in our different ways, whether it's the governments, the private sector, or even professional institutions like CIMA, have to take on. And it's a requirement to reskill and to upskill our members, our professions, our workers, our workforce, so that we can face the challenges of the environment around us that is changing. So yes, education needs to change, and we have to all be part of that journey of change.
True. Now, there's this trend that's going on in the modern world compared to the previous years and previous decades. A lot of the youth nowadays are pursuing as many qualifications as possible, and we've had this discussion before on this program as well. Sometimes there might be different things that influence this decision. What do you think about this pursuing as many qualifications as possible compared to the previous years?
See, Prashant, how I would look at it is that your foundation and your education and your professional qualifications give you the technical skills. But in addition to the technical skills, you need to bring other softer skills. You need to be able to communicate, you need to be able to tell the story, you need to be able to be a storyteller, to be able to convince, so that you can drive businesses and drive the environment forward. So in terms, I would say, like I mentioned previously, that the world is changing. So maybe you might need to make a transitional shift to a different qualification in the area of digital transformation, because that's the way it's going. But I would say, yet for all, have an objective in your mind and work towards a particular discipline, because every discipline in some way or the other does contribute to the advancement of society. So I would say, not be a stone that flips around like a rolling stone gathering no moss. Don't be that, because then you'll start clutching on every branch and tree to get a different qualification, and you're not going to be holistic or deep in your line of focus. So whilst it is necessary to look at changes in qualifications, I think we should look at it in the light of whatever will make you a better individual and a substantial individual in the professional arena. Go for it.
All right. So just a quick question now. When it comes to these qualifications, there are many institutions that provide such qualifications. But apart from that, you mentioned some of the soft skills that are needed in order to really succeed and build a complete individual. How do you think the youth nowadays can really develop that side and really develop their soft skills?
See, it's kind of, I think, development on the go. And I think being exposed to the situation is one way in which you develop, because you actually learn the skills while you meet the challenge.
All right.
So whilst there might be speed reading courses, there might be communication courses, there might be even storytelling courses, but unless you really face that incident in person, you never realize the mistakes you can make, and you cannot grow out of it. So I would say a lot of it, like the technical skills, will come from your course of qualification, but the softer skills, you tend to pick them up more on the job than going for a formal class.
All right.
So if I may say, give a slight example of communication, right? I mean, unless you actually begin to communicate in a boardroom environment or communicate to your managers trying to convince a particular scenario, you can go for all the communication classes in the world, but you're not going to hone that skill.
Exactly. So you're a firm believer in the real practicality.
I would think so. It would develop you, and it would just make you exposed to a different environment and a real life situation, which you can't compensate that with a formal program or course.
That's great advice. Now, I'd also like to know, a lot of individuals nowadays, a lot of the youth in particular, are leaving the country maybe to pursue their higher education, or some see it as the grass being green on the other side. What are your thoughts about this massive migration in the recent past?
Yeah, so let me tell you honestly, I'm a believer, and I'm actually a beneficiary of having lived, studied and worked overseas. So I would say that there are a lot of benefits to accrue from that, but it is necessary that whatever you do, You need to understand that you need to continue to develop yourself, continue to go through continuous professional development, reskill courses, upskill courses. So it's not about just migrating and going to the other side. You used a lovely phrase. You said, grass is greener on the other side. There is no greener grass on any side. You've got to make the grass green. So whether you're on this side or not, I mean, going out, yes, you get a better exposure, you get a wider network to a professional circle, you get to learn from how other countries, more developed countries do things, but then you bring that knowledge back to Sri Lanka. You can make Sri Lanka a better place.
Great. Now, I'd also like to know, as with your current position, what are the plans you have for the future of this organization?
So let me take you slightly back. So CIMA is an institution that has been here that has existed for over 100 years, and it has been the leading voice of management accountancy throughout the world. So my plans is that we need to continue to be at the forefront of this and develop our members so that they can give great value and energy to the organizations they serve. So I would, my presidential platform this year is step forward and lean in. And why I say step forward is because we need to stand up as a profession. And how do we do this? So I would say become a trusted partner to whatever organization you work for. Be the sounding board and be the trusted partner. Rely and perform your duties with the highest level of ethics, good morals, and integrity. And I also think that you need to, in your journey, in the next year, I'm looking at actually growing the profession. So I would say, as much as we say, be a trusted partner, we should also help others to grow. So that it is a collective responsibility of every single CIMA member to bring other people into the profession and help them grow. The brightest and the best, no matter from whatever backgrounds they are, whatever educational backgrounds, geographical positioning, caste, creed, we should embrace diversity, because organizations that have embraced diversity are able to move faster forward. So as I said, my presidential platform theme is step forward and lean in, and I'm expecting all the members to do that. And you need to be on top of your game in terms of your technical competency, and of course become the valued employee or member in that environment.
All right. Now, I'm a massive advocate for being healthy and fit, despite your career goals or your professional goals that you may have. Now, a lot of professionals in high positions nowadays, they're slowly starting to inculcate being healthy, maybe going out for a walk or a jog, to really help out their mental aspect of it as well. Now, you being in such a high position and having so much of work and so much of stress, how do you really balance this out? How do you stay healthy and fit?
So, good question, Prashant. I believe I'm an advocate also that alongside a healthy body is a healthy mind. So for me, be it I engage in some sort of physical activity every single day, be it going for a bike ride or swim, or even playing a racket sport. So I play badminton. So I think, yeah, it is right. But in addition to that, in addition to engaging in the physical environment of physical sport, I also believe that you need to feed your mind with new things. So I have a passion for cultures and for travel. Of course, that came to a stop at some point. But I try to enrich my mind in new things. I'm also moving on to learning Mandarin. So you're stimulating your mind to absorb new things, and that's another thing. And the other one, of course, the third one is give back to the community, because at the end of the day, it's all about service. So I, on a pro bono basis, support the Family Planning Association of Sri Lanka, being the chair on their audit committee, and also on their national council, and I also do some work in my local church, because I believe that service to the community is an important element as well.
All right. Now, when it comes to achieving your goals or really pursuing a certain career or a certain line in which you're really passionate about, do you think that there is a sweet spot or an age before you should get everything done? Because I am just moving on, in my early 20s right now, and the question that I always wonder is, am I too late or am I too early? Is there a certain time like that?
No, let me tell you how best I can answer that question. There is nothing called too early or too late. It has to revolve around your passion and what you want to do. Starting early is good, but that doesn't mean that you will end in that direction. Mm-hmm. You might also make transitional shifts later on in your career because you feel that you're passionate about something else. So there is nothing too early or nothing too late. I mean, if I give an example, when I was doing my master's at Emory, the oldest person who graduated with a bachelor's degree and a first formal degree was 70 years old.
Okay.
So what does that say to you? So I don't think it's too early or too late, but you need to have a passion and you need to have a focused commitment to move on that pathway of your passion. And making changes along the line doesn't make you have setbacks. You just decide that something else excites you.
All right, so it's not an issue if you choose one path and then maybe deviate.
Not really. It shouldn't be an issue because some of the people who have made the best in their journeys have also made transitions along the way.
All right, okay. Now, I've really gained a lot of knowledge from what you said, and also there's a lot of the youngsters listening out there, young entrepreneurs, young businessmen listening out there. What advice would you have for them?
Yes, so to those listening out there, the entrepreneurs and the young people, I think once again, very, very short, very briefly, I think you need to have a passion. Having a passion and making a committed to that passion can make your dreams come alive. Secondly, I think you also need to have know your purpose. And in knowing your purpose, you need to be very ethical, high in your morals, and you need to develop, or you need to kind of build the trust of those around you. So you have to have a purpose, and that also means when I say hold on to the ethical values, you need to also move away from politics and not be a part of it. The other thing is, obviously, if you want to make something of yourself, you need to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, have confidence, and move forward holding your head high, knowing that you can achieve what you want to achieve. And finally, never fear failure, because that would probably set you back. Your fear of failure would set you back more than the failure itself.
Great. That was some great advice. Thank you so much. That was Melanie J. Kanaka, the president of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants and co-chair, Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Prashant, for having me on the show. And I just wish every Sri Lankan listening the very best of life and good luck in your journeys.
Thank you so much. And that winds up today's episode of Business Today. Do join us next week as well. Till then, have a good night.